time also to practice. And so let me start with a short introduction about the company. And SylLabs Systems is a company in cybersecurity and compliance. What we recognize is that it's very difficult to reach compliance and cybersecurity at the same time, as well as it is very costly. So we are helping organizations to cut this cost when it comes to compliance and security. And we are doing this by providing the embedded compliance for enterprise data security. When it comes to the usability of that technology is that we really help to automate the processes, because compliance is very outdated when it comes to the manual processes, and especially when it comes to HIPAA compliance and CCPA and even GDPR. So we help to streamline this process with automation. We also have a cutting edge technology for our cryptography side, where we provide lightweight encryption scheme for IoT devices when it comes to post-quantum scenarios. So it's a very early on with the technology, but we are also enabling companies to deploy solutions and encrypt in a post-quantum world that they can stay secure. So compliance and security are two domains where we help organizations with. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Great job. And then feedback?
Marco, you want to start, or you want me
to? Yeah, sure. Hi, Bart. A couple of questions. One is compliance with what? Is it a compliance with a corporate standard? Is it NIST compliant? What's the standard that you're talking about?
So we focus on HIPAA compliance. That's the main focus for us. We also cover CCPA, and now we actually also invested and help companies with the Virginia Privacy Act that was recently passed and will be enforced next year. So we are already rolling out and preparing automation tools for organizations to be ready for next year.
And what is the consequence of not being compliant?
Well, it's actually on the financial side. It's very expensive there are fines when it comes to non-compliance. On the HIPAA side, it can reach a couple $1 million even in fines, depending on the size of a data breach. And on the operations side, of course, there's the costs to compliance when it comes to the brand reputation loss. So if you have a breach, if you are breach, your brand value can diminish.
Okay, thank you. I have some ideas, but you want to jump in?
Thanks, Bart. Great job. One suggestion would be, I think you got, there's steak and sizzle, and I think you got to the sizzle kind of late in the pitch. I think the sizzle is that you're really protecting mission critical data, and it took about over a minute to get to that. So I would suggest you put that sizzle right up front and tell folks, that your technology effectively protects, data breaches. And when sometimes investors hear compliance, they think about, what Marco was getting at, which is, secondary issues. But I would focus on the primary issues up front, and then if you have time, get to the secondary issues, because I think there's some extraordinary capabilities that you have, and I would implore you to try to put it up front. The other thing I'll mention to you and the rest of the group is do this pitch in a mirror, in a videotape yourself, watch yourself, and do it over and over and over again. And you'll see how you'll improve dramatically if you watch yourself a few times. So definitely continue to work on it, but great job.
Thank you so much.
All right, and thank you very much. And next up, we're going to have Impruvon with Justin and Mike. I don't know if you want to do it together. Just one of you wants to do it. That's up to you. And then on deck is Harsha. Justin, I can't hear you.
All right. I'll sing, Mike. You want me to just take it since 90 seconds? All right, I'll take it. Mike wants to hop. I'll try to be shorter than 90 seconds. Mike wants to hop in. He's okay, so we are Impruvon Health. We do medication management for enterprise care agencies. Big differentiator for us is that we're focused on the client of the agency, the caregiver, or the other staff members that interface with medication management for those agencies. as well as the organization as a whole to reduce liabilities. The big goal of our platform is to give the administrator a one-stop shop on our web app where they can see all of the medication-related data for all of their staff and clients, give the staff a mobile app so that they're getting reminders, routine assistance, and error reduction automation with the medication management tasks that they're responsible for. And then we also give the user a role in our mobile app, the user being the client, the individual who's actually prescribed the meds, to be able to learn independence, to get reminders on their own, and to take step-by-step instructions and learning to take their own meds properly by themselves. Some of the big differentiators for us is that we work with unit dose packaging, such as blister packs like this, rather than just pill bottles, which a lot of our competition is focused on. Another big differentiator for us is that we're focused in the enterprise setting, specifically on individuals with disabilities, whereas a lot of our competition is focused on the geriatric population in the at-home B2B market.
With 10 seconds to spare.
Yeah, go ahead, Warren. I'll Ben full alternate.
I thought that was a great job, Justin. The only suggestion I would make is I would talk to the size of the opportunity, because I think some folks might not realize how large this and how big this market problem is. And I would just try to pepper in the size of the market and potentially if you have growth projections for it. But otherwise, I thought it was a great job. Marco?
Yeah, and Justin and Mike and I, we convene pretty frequently, so I hear the presentation often. I'll say this, well, just a commendation for you guys. I really appreciate it when entrepreneurs speak in present tense, and by that I mean here's what we do, as opposed to we will be doing. It's a little detail, but it anchors the conversation in the here and now, and it basically says, this is stuff that's built. This is stuff that's ready. This is a problem that you're solving. And that's, it's a little thing, but it goes a long way. I know a lot of people sort of put things into the future when it comes to plans. We know it, but I think the way you framed it is very nice. So just a simple suggestion for the rest of the group. Well done. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Harsha, you're up, and then Carly, you're on deck.
Hi, everyone. We are Jeeva Informatics, an e-clinical SaaS platform to help biopharmaceutical sponsors, CROs, sites accelerate their patient recruitment and retention in clinical research. Patient recruitment is the biggest problem, slowing down the pace of bringing new therapies to patients faster. 85% of all clinical trials are delayed by 30 days or more, and 30% of all clinical trials are terminated due to poor enrollment. This is costing the life science industry billions of dollars. The eClinical solutions is a $16 billion market opportunity, and the COVID pandemic-driven decentralization is rapidly adopted. So this is a fantastic time to get into the space and make a disruption and ride the tailwind of this life science industry, which has been slow to adopt these digital health technologies. We have a strong leadership team in place to execute a roadmap. We have 5 referenceable customers and a growing pipeline of qualified leads. We are looking to validate the platform this year with channel partners and biopharma sponsors, and are seeking a seed capital of $700,000 to execute on this next milestone of achieving $500,000 to $1 million in annual recurring revenue. So I invite you to join us in our journey to revolutionize clinical trials. Thank you.
Thank you, Harsha. Yeah, and like Mike and Justin, I know your presentation. I feel like yours, and there's several others to come that I feel like I could almost deliver myself. I've heard them enough times. Very clear. By the way, I really appreciate it. I know 90 seconds is super ungenerous, and in reality, it always begs the question: what does the audience want to hear, and what is the circumstance here that you're trying to communicate? I appreciate you putting in the ask. You snuck in the 700K. You know, that's nice. It has something for me to sink my teeth into, and it'll tell me if I can play or not. So I commend you for putting that little detail in. Warren?
Yeah, I thought it was great. The only thing I'd mention, as I kind of did, you mentioned at the end how big the problem was. I might put that up front. Oftentimes, investors have short time spans, and they tend to think top down. So if you start from the top and you say, this is the problem, this is how big it is, this is what we're doing to solve it, you for some reason went the other way around. And I just suggested a top down approach, but I thought overall it was very, very good.
Great. Thank you for the suggestion.
I know it's a little late, but as you present, if you want to just throw up your email addresses in the chat box, that way if there's someone who wants to reach out to you and kind of shoot you a quick note, they can do so. Oleg, are you ready? And then after Oleg, it's going to be Virongy, so Yantel or Shaka.
Yes, sure. Nice to meet you all. I'm Oleg Nomenko. I'm CEO of Hideez Group, and we developed a passwordless authentication platform. We help companies to solve one of the biggest cybersecurity problems, which account takeover. So our solution we built on one of the most important industrial standards in passwordless authentication, which is called FIDO. We present our solution on the market 2 years ago. We already sell more than 10,000 units in healthcare, financial, and public sector. And you also can find our solution on Amazon in US. I think that's all. Thank you.
With a minute left.
Okay.
Oleg, do you want to provide us with a little bit more or not?
Yes, sure. So we have a technical guy. We sell more than 10,000 units in healthcare, and we work one of the biggest company, which called Citrix, Microsoft, Cisco. We have technical partnership, and we're looking for $1 million for next round of investment. That's all.
Right. Still 40 seconds, so long.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah, well, like I was going to say, one thing that grabs me with your story is that you have a lot of traction, and it seems like that's one of your strongest suits. And to Warren's earlier point, I too believe that you bring your biggest part of your story up front. And in my view, it's not what you do, though that's important that you will have to explain. But the attention getter in my mind, because I think that's what we're talking about, putting an attention getter right in front of a 90-minute pitch. It's all you have time to do, right? I mean, it's pretty ungenerous. I would start with the install. And Warren, I don't know if you feel that way too, but this is the attraction we have, and some imprint that says, here's why people are buying this stuff. So it's validating that you've got a very useful product.
Also, I would say, most people know that it's a pretty competitive marketplace. So if you can really hone in up front on what is it that makes you so distinctive from the rest of the noise in the market. I think you touched upon it briefly, but you might want to provide a little bit more color around why is it that competitors can't readily, compete with you.
Okay, thank you, Warren. Thank you, Martha.
Right.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, Oleg.
Shaka, you doing it? So Virongy is up next, and after that, it's going to be ISOThrive with Jack.
Okay, I guess I'll go for Virongy. Hello, everyone. I'm Shaka Cunningham. I'm a science advisor for Virongy LLC. We are a virology-focused company. We make a number of different tools for virology research, as well as sells kits for different kinds of testing, including COVID testing, and most recently, COVID neutralizing antibody testing. We have several large contracts, one with ATCC and others in the work with NIH, and we're looking to service all academic and corporate research lab that needs virology support services. Our ask would be for connections to additional academic and other corporate partners, as well as leads on investors. We're going to be doing a seed investment round to spin out some of the other products that we make and help us commercialize more of the IP that we've developed. And that's our pitch in a second. We're founded by Dr. Youngtal Wu, who is a researcher with over 30 years of experience in virology, and have a solid team of scientists that have trained at George Mason University and other prominent universities across the country. That's it.
With 18 seconds.
Perfect. Any questions?
Outstanding job, Shaka, as usual. The only comment I would make is you touched upon the IP. You might want to give a sentence or two on, what exactly is the IP, so that folks understand, what makes you distinctive. But otherwise, I thought it was very pithy, to the point, and very focused. So good job.
Thanks, Warren.
Yeah, second Warren's comment. I was going to add one other point. Being a layperson in this area, I've got to imagine with COVID being a real demand driver, one of the first things I thought was, is there any sort of pull-through that's happening in the marketplace with COVID for your products your virology kits. So it's just a thought, and I don't really. You certainly know far better than anybody in the room. If there's a hook up front that says that, like COVID and perhaps other pathogens, there's pull through for your product, that might be interesting. I mean, it sounds like you have a large number of assets in the space that you guys are trying to license out, presumably. I started thinking, gee, what else is behind the curtain there? So anyways, you got me thinking something's really interesting behind the curtain. So
that's great. Thanks for that feedback. I'll highlight more of the IP. It's really quite impressive, the array of IP that Dr. Wu and the team has assembled. And we've already begun selling for research use these kits for COVID testing and have high demand for them. So we're also applying for, I didn't have enough time to really go into all of the details because 90 seconds is not a lot. We're applying for FDA EUA use in partnership with another company for our COVID testing kit for clinical use. And we think that's going to be a big revenue driver for us here in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shaka.
Great job. All right, Jack, you're up next. And then after him, Rahul.
Good afternoon. Jack Oswald. So ISOThrive is a biotech therapeutics company. Our focus is on changing the way the microbiome in your gut works from a dysbiotic state to a normal, healthy state as our mode of alleviating diseases and ultimately, hopefully, keeping people healthy. But it's much easier to motivate people to fix their problems than it is to keep them healthy and happy. So our focus has been on changing the microbiome in the upper GI, so in the esophagus, to address gastroesophageal reflux disease. It's not well known and understood, but about 30% of American adults suffer from this chronically, almost daily. And the standard therapy is, so that's about 40 million people or so, plus or minus, could be as many as 60. And the standard therapy is taking acid-reducing medication, things like everybody knows, like Prilosec and Nexium, but they don't really solve the problem. They just help relieve the symptoms. And the reason is that you have a problem in your esophagus, which looks a lot like an infection. And our approach is to feed beneficial bacteria that are natural competitors to the unwanted infection so they can fight it off. And the good news is that as long as that is effective, and it appears to be effective in at least 70% of the cases where we have been able to document it through our studies, that it has a life-changing positive impact on people's health and their well-being. And so their dysbiosis goes back to normal, their symptoms reduce, and everything is fine. There we go.
Jack, yeah, hey, very impressive. I don't suffer from that, but I certainly know people who do, and big target market. One of the items that I'd like to point out, I get the impression there's a lot of tremendous science behind this. I think just a general recommendation, actually, for all the presenters today, and Jack, it jumped out to me that I think, we ran out of time, and the ask didn't get to the ask. I think the objective is not to tell everything about your company or your innovation. I think your objective is to get a call back. So in other words, just leave enough there, knowing that you will have left a lot of this really great content, a lot of interesting fabric on the table, but that's okay. All you want to do is get that, turn that 90-minute pitch into an hour, or 90-second pitch into, time with the investment team.
Completely.
We're trying to go from 90 seconds to 3 minutes.
Or half an hour, a face-to-face.
Half an hour, yeah, exactly.
No, I thought Marco was on point. The only thought I had was, if you have, and I don't know if you do yet, any marketing partnerships or anything to get to the market, because obviously, as you mentioned, there is a lot of noise in the market, and there's a lot of false advertising, and so to the extent you can partner with a legitimate channel, and I know you've had some initial discussions, that would set you apart in terms of inviting a next meeting.
Yeah, we at this point we have lots of conversations happening. The important milestone is the conclusion of our next major clinical study. That data is what unlocks the opportunity, and the support that we've gotten from both the county and also from the state in Virginia have been absolutely critical to teeing us up for that, and all that's underway. As you well know, with therapeutics, it takes a lot of effort, but we're imminently going to get that underway.
Great job, Jack.
Great, thank you. So Rahul, you're up next, and then Arvin, you're on deck.
Hi, I'm Rahul.
Cyret is a digital adoption and a digital transformation company. Our solution for the healthcare side is the automation for the healthcare providers. One of the challenges in the industry is a tremendous latency in the data interchange between various EHR systems, a lot of manual processes, and a tremendous amount of costs related to that. Our solution is actually being used currently by labs, hospitals, rehabs, radiology centers. We are currently live in 6 customers. We have referenceable customers in various of these industries. We are actually also now getting more and more traction from hospitals, and our ask is that we actually could get some references in the healthcare space.
27 seconds.
All right. We are now starting to actually integrate across different EHRs like Epic, Cerner, and our customers are actually loving the solution. The labs and rehabs are actually expanding their usage to multiple applications within their space.
Great job. 5 seconds.
Could I ask a quick question, Rahul? For the EHR integrations, are you also offering that as a service to other companies, for example, like other platforms that may want to integrate their data with existing EHR systems of long-term care agencies?
Yes, and we are actually EHR agnostic. We do not need any API or any licensing arrangements with the EHR system. So our integration will actually be completely agnostic to what EHR or what application. We can actually integrate it within like a homegrown application to another EHR or EHR to EHR.
Awesome. Really interesting. Yeah, we're talking to a few partners about essentially doing that for us right now. So would love to chat about it. Would you mind just shooting your email in the chat and I can follow up with you?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, that would be an example of cross-portfolio synergy, right? So, well done. Just appreciate your asking that too, Rahul. Just a stylistic piece, a very good presentation, solid science. It might have been on my end, but I was getting a lot of static, and your soundtrack was coming across very faint. Again, it may be no indication of your delivery style, but I don't want to speak for others. But from my side, I was having a hard time hearing you. And I do have a little bit of a sinus issue going on today. Warren, were you able to hear clearly? I mean, I have to say,
the other suggestion I'd make, if possible, is just try to punch a couple of the high points. So it sounded, and it may have been the audio quality, I don't know, as if you were just kind of monotone throughout. And my guess is that you're much more excited about this than I was able to discern from your presentation. So to the extent you can smile like you are right now, or punch some of these sentences that are really important and emphasize certain aspects of it, that will help get other folks excited about what you're doing.
Yeah, I think people will tune out after 5 or 10 seconds if they don't get it, right? So I think that's the point.
Thank you.
And others in the room, by the way, Justin, I'm gonna use you as an example. Thank you for asking that question, because what I'm hoping this first cohort does is leans on each other for ideas, whether it's innovation, management team ideas, et cetera. I think that's terrific. I'd love to hear those questions.
Yeah, I agree. Arvind, thank you. You're definitely up next. And then Bo, I think you're the last one.
Thank you. My name is Arvind, founding CEO of Bacchus Therapeutics. Bacchus is a biotech company that exploits cancer gluttony. Kidney cancer is largely incurable at this point. It is a $2 billion market. We have developed novel proprietary drug leads with 4 patents pending that shows increased survival from 11% that's currently in the clinic to 100% using our preclinical data. So at PWC, we are improving, optimizing this lead drugs into clinical trials, and we will need $6 million to do that. We have discovered basically ways to starve only cancer cells, but not normal cells. So these lead compounds are highly promising and they're not toxic. Thank you.
Great job, Arvind. my only suggestion is, those of us who are familiar with the industry as you are, know that there's a long lead time from kind of the bench to ultimate commercialization. So you might want to just touch upon kind of what that horizon looks like for you and where you are in that process. But really, really well done.
Yeah, I second that. And in fact, I was wondering in my mind, you're probably in animal trials. I don't know if you're in silico or wherever you are on this stage, but I have to say, you got my attention going from 11% to 100%. That's an extraordinary claim. It almost is incredible, and that's okay. I mean, if that's what the science is showing, that's terrific. So it's a real attention getter. And again, I don't want to make this about starting with sensational information, but you got my attention. I'm now curious. It inspired a bunch of questions. How large is this market? Is this is this a rare disease indication here that's 1 in 1,000, or what's the number here? So some sort of order of magnitude to educate the audience would be terrific, but really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think, and I have to say, Bo, I appreciate. I just want to make sure you are the last person, right? I hit everyone. Okay, and I just want to say I kind of set you up last because I know you're an amazing public speaker, because you are a speaker at our last Collaborative Minds Big Solution events, and you did a phenomenal job. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for being last today.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I have a disclaimer that I actually have Tourette syndrome, so it may kick in at any time, but I will just try my best. All right, so can I start?
Yeah, go.
Okay. ZeoVation is an innovative zeolite materials company where we are focused on enhancing the experience and health of consumers. So we are focused on zeolite. Zeolite is a very widely used material in the petroleum industry right now. Millions of tons of it is being produced and used every month, but the nanoparticle of it has been very hard to make. So we're the first and only provider of this material who can produce in commercial quantities. So our R&D focus right now is to develop an antimicrobial additive where we use zeolite with minimum amount of silver, copper, and zinc, and it provides an antimicrobial feature to almost any type of services and stays there for a long time. Its residual effect. Besides antimicrobial, we have collaboration with Starbucks to remove caffeine from coffee. We have collaboration with SWCC in Saudi Arabia to purify seawater into drinking water. So up to now, we have raised more than $2 million of non-dilutive fund. We are looking to raise our Series A fund of $5 million in 2022. Besides, if you have connections to the customers and also individuals, we'll be happy to get connected. Yeah.
Terrific job, Bo. I thought you did an amazing job. Really well done. My only suggestion is, as you alluded to, there's a whole host of different industries that you're going to focus on, and you may want to give some idea of how you're prioritizing the industries that could be applied. I mean, you mentioned Starbucks, which is amazing. You mentioned, water, which is another one, but these are each enormous applications, and obviously you have limited resources, so you may want to just give some idea of how you're prioritizing market entry. But wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wish I could provide a different bit of feedback. That's exactly the comment I had. I think by the time you go to a Series A, the VC is going to want to know, what is your top go-to? You're going to have a chance to do one, maybe two areas that you're going to attack, and actually probably one more, I'm guessing, right? So it begs the question: is zeolite best? Is the strategic relationship with Starbucks the one that's going to pull you through and the way to prioritize? I have no feel for those markets in terms of size and availability, so maybe that's a way to prioritize it. But yeah, Warren's exactly right. The VC doesn't want to see an A through Z list. They want to hear what's at the very top.
Sure.
But very, very interesting presentation. Thank you. And
thank you.
Just maybe back to the broader presentation. I think one of the ideas, I think just about everybody did this today. Would you get a call back? And I think the answer is yes. I mean, I think that's the objective. Excuse me. Get a call back.
Yeah, overall, very well done. I mean,
you.
you folks can learn from each other, and I would suggest you continue to learn and seek out feedback and video and stand in front of the mirror and ask your friends and relatives to hear the pitch and get as much feedback as you can. But this is, for most of you, you'll be doing this for at least the next 2 or 3 years, and this will become a part of your life. And so to the extent you don't embrace it, it will come back to haunt you. So embrace it and live it and love it and make it become part of you, because that's part of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I've got to say just one other point to that, Warren. I think there's nothing harder and maybe cringier than to be briefing your friends and families and loved ones about what you do. And if you can get past that hurdle, I think you can get past the toughest or most stone-faced VC there is. Guarantee it. There's something really vulnerable about presenting to someone you're really close to, and kudos to you guys for having the courage to do this. It's really awesome. That is, I tell you, I feel like there's a lot of Mensa here for sure.
Yeah, huge potential, and continue to network. I know some of you have made relationships today, but I'm working with PWC and others. Don't be afraid to ask. As Marco was saying, anytime you meet anyone, ask, what do you do? How can you help me? And don't be bashful, because that's how entrepreneurs find opportunity.
Yeah, and ask each other in this little Brady Bunch style here for sure.
How are we doing, Debbie? On time?
No,
Wow.
we're just a few minutes over. So everyone did a phenomenal job. Thank you, truly, for taking the time today to join us for our holiday party. And I think, Christina, do you want to just say a few words before we let everyone else go on their day? And just to give you a heads up, I do hope to do an in-person meeting someday, maybe in warmer weather, when COVID dies down, because there's nothing like being in person. But thank you, truly, for taking the time today.
No, thank you, Debbie. I think a great indication of these pitches being done so well is I don't have a science background or a technology background, and in that 90 seconds I understood what it was that you were actually doing and selling. So great job on that. But definitely thank you for all of our Ignite winners. Warren and Marco, thank you for your continued support and resources to really this Prince William, tech community. Amy Adams, you're our favorite George Mason person, and you've been a great partner. And Liz, very excited to have you as part of this team. And a special thank you to Debbie Roeder, who puts this on and really helps coordinate and keeps us all in line. So I think this was a great hour and a half to spend together, and I appreciate it all. So thank you, everyone.
Likewise, thank you very much. Go get them.